The blade was already out before I saw the hand that held it. I had 1 second to understand what was happening, and I used that second badly. I froze. My feathers locked flat against my skull. The old Vale instinct for danger, useless in a metal corridor with nowhere to fly. 3 of my own people stood in front of me, and the hatred in their eyes was worse than anything I had seen from the humans who beat us in the war. "Traitor," one of them hissed. "You sold your feathers to the enemy." I did not have time to answer. I did not have time to explain that I never chose any of this, that the council handed me over like a piece of cargo, that I hated the treaty as much as they did. There was only the blade, and the sound of my own name shouted like a curse, and then a second voice, louder, closer, cutting through everything else. "Get behind me, now." That was Ethan, my husband, the Terran officer I had been forced to marry 3 months ago, back when I believed every word humans said was a trick waiting to spring. He moved faster than I thought a person his size could move. One moment he was several steps away, and the next he was between me and the blade, his arm already up, his voice flat and calm in a way that scared the attackers more than any shout could have. Station security arrived within seconds, drawn by the noise, and the 3 who had come for me were taken down without a single serious injury on either side. It was over almost as quickly as it began, but my hands did not stop shaking for a long time after. I want to tell you how I got here, to a corridor on a human space station, married to a man from the species that defeated my entire civilization. It did not start with kindness. It started with defeat. My name is Lyra, and I am Viel, a species the humans fought and beat in a war none of us wanted. When the surrender was signed, the Coalition Council decided that peace needed a symbol, something visible enough for both sides to believe it was real. They chose marriage, noble daughters of the Vale, given to Terran officers of high rank, sealed together as living proof that the fighting was truly finished. I did not get a vote. Vale daughters never do. I remember standing in the transfer bay on the day I was handed over, feathers pressed tight with fear, waiting for the airlock to open on the human side. I had heard stories about Terrans my whole life. They were the species that broke 3 of our battle fleets in a single day. They did not stop when we begged them to stop. They only stopped when there was nothing left to fight. We used to call them the featherless ones, because they had no plumage to show what they were feeling, no warning signs, nothing to tell you what was coming until it already happened to you. So when the airlock opened, I expected a soldier with hard eyes and a hand ready to take whatever the treaty said belonged to him. Instead, a tall man walked through, looking more nervous than I felt. His uniform did not quite fit him right, like he had borrowed someone else's posture along with the jacket. He held a small data slate with words written on it in my own language, badly, the letters uneven, like he had practiced them the night before, and still gotten most of them wrong. He looked at the slate, then he looked at me. Then, in careful, broken Vale, mangling half the sounds, he said my name. Not my title, not my rank, my name. "I am told I am supposed to say something formal right now," he said afterward, switching back to his own language because his mouth clearly could not survive another attempt at mine. I looked up the customary words. I am not going to say them, because I do not think either of us wants a stranger reading a script at you today. My name is Ethan. I do not know what they told you about this arrangement. I know what they told me, and most of it was about supply routes and treaty language, not about you. I am sorry for that. You deserved better than being a line item in a document. I did not know what to do with a sentence like that. Nothing in my life had prepared me for an apology from the side that won. That first night, aboard the transport that would carry us both to the human world where I was meant to live out the rest of the treaty, I sat stiff on the edge of the small sleeping room we had been given. One room, the treaty was specific about that detail, a symbol for the observers and the cameras. I waited for what I had been warned to expect. He rolled out a sleeping mat on the floor instead. "You take the bed," he said, like it was not even a question. "I will be right here if you need anything. The door does not lock, but I put a small chime on it, so you will hear if I get up in the night. Did not want to startle you in the dark. I know our customs are different. You are not going to," I started, and then stopped myself. Vale do not finish sentences like that. It is considered shameful to speak the fear out loud, even to reject it. He understood anyway. "No," he said gently. "Whatever they told you at home, whatever the treaty says on paper, that is not what this is. I am not going to touch you unless you want that, and probably not even then, until we actually know each other. I know a document calls you my wife. I would rather you get the chance to decide, someday, if you actually want to be. That is not me being generous. That is just how it should be." I did not sleep that night, but not from fear anymore. I lay awake turning his words over, searching for the trick, the price, the hidden cost. I grew up in a court where every kind word was really a trade, where gentleness always came with a bill attached. I searched, and I could not find the bill. There was not one. The weeks that followed did not erase generations of war between our people. His crewmates did not all welcome a veiled noblewoman walking their station hallways, and my own people did not all forgive me for surviving the peace instead of dying with pride in the war. I learned to flatten my feathers whenever I felt eyes on me in a corridor. I learned something else too. Ethan noticed every single one of those stares, and every time, without fail, he placed himself half a step ahead of me until the eyes moved somewhere else. He learned my customs the way he had learned my name, badly at first, and then not badly at all. He learned that looking away during a meal is a sign of respect among my people, not rudeness, and he started doing it without being reminded after only the second time I explained it. He learned that the small shifts in my feathers meant different things: sadness, worry, anger, and instead of guessing, he simply asked which one he was seeing. "You do not have to keep doing this," I told him once, weeks in, when he had spent an entire evening practicing a formal veil greeting for an upcoming diplomatic event. His accent stayed terrible the whole time. He never stopped trying. "The treaty does not ask you to actually care. Only to stand beside me where the cameras can see." He looked up from the slate, and something in his face went quiet and serious. The human version, I was slowly learning, of the moment right before a veil's feathers say something the voice has not caught up to yet. "Yeah," he said. "I know the treaty does not ask for that. That is kind of the whole point." 3 months after that conversation came the corridor, the blade, and the 3 of my own people who believed I had betrayed everything by simply staying alive. After station security finished their reports, after the observers wrote their statements, I found Ethan sitting outside the medical bay with his hands still faintly trembling. I understood then that the calm I had seen in the corridor was not the absence of fear. It was fear he had chosen to carry quietly, so I would not have to carry it too. "You could have been badly hurt," I said. It came out sounding more like an accusation than gratitude, because I still did not have the shape of gratitude fully formed in my own language. "Yeah," he agreed. There was not a version of today where I was not standing there. "Why?" I asked. I needed to hear him say it plainly. Some old court instinct in me still wanted the price, the bill, so I could pay it and call us even. "The treaty does not ask this of you either." He was quiet for a moment. When he finally answered, he did not sound like a man reciting a diplomatic line. He sounded like a man telling the truth, because he had simply run out of reasons to hide it. "I stopped thinking about the treaty a while back," he said. "Somewhere around the 40th time, I watched you flatten your feathers at people who did not deserve to make you feel that small, and you never once let it show in your voice. Somewhere in there, I started thinking about you. Just you, nothing to do with any document. I had been raised in a court that taught me exactly what I was worth, in bloodlines and alliances, and signed papers. No one there had ever simply thought about me, with nothing to do with paperwork, and meant every word of it." I sat down beside him, closer than veil custom allows between people who are still learning each other, and for the first time since that airlock had opened on a nervous man with a badly practiced greeting, I let my feathers show exactly what I felt. No flattening, no hiding. He smiled like he understood every bit of it, and reached toward me slowly, asking with the motion before he ever touched my hand. I let him take it. It was, I would think much later, the very first kindness in my life that had never once asked me to pay for it, and it was the beginning of learning that home is not always the place you are born. Sometimes, it is the person who chooses to stand in front of the blade meant for you, and asks for nothing in return.